What's up, guys? How y'all doing today? Well, baby, if you are Karen Read, you are suing everybody. Karen Read, the woman that was finally acquitted for the murking of her boyfriend, she is now, and the family had the nerve to sue her for a wrongful death. She is now going at, I think, 8 people that testified, and she is suing them for covering up the death. You guys, TikTok came through, and every conspiracy on TikTok was right when they, and apparently Karen agrees that she was not the cause of the death. Listen to this, right? It's directly from People magazine. Karen Read files civil suit accusing cops' former friends of framing her for her boyfriend's killing. A civil lawsuit claims John O'Keefe died inside a friend's home, and the scene was staged to point Karen Read investigators toward her. Tell me she wasn't on TikTok every single day listening to what they had to say. So anyway, Karen Read, fresh off her acquittal for the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, has filed a civil lawsuit accusing state police investigators and several former friends of shielding the real killers and pinning the crime on her. Filed in Bristol County Superior Court, the complaint names 8 defendants: former Massachusetts State Police investigator Michael Proctor, Sergeant 𝐬𝐡𝐞𝐬, Lieutenant Brian Tooley, Brian and Nicole Albert. How many Brians were there in that town? Let me stop. Brian and Nicole Albert, Jennifer and Matthew McCabe, and ATF agent Brian Higgins. The filing notes that additional entities, including the Massachusetts State Police and the town of Canton, will be added after statutory requirements are met. Burn it down. Burn it all down. They said for 3.5 years, Karen claims she was wrongly accused and subject to prosecution stemming from gross misconduct by the Massachusetts State Police and those working with them to cover up for the real killers of O'Keefe, who was found dead in a snowbank in January 2022 outside of Albert's home with traumatic injuries to his head. Karen was accused by prosecutors, you remember this, by purposely hitting O'Keefe with her SUV and was twice tried on murder charges in connection with the incident. Her first trial ended in a hung jury, while the second led to an acquittal on the murder charge. In June, Karen was convicted only of operating a vehicle while under the influence and received a year probation. In her lawsuit, filed this week and reviewed by People, Karen offers a dramatically different account of what happened in the early morning hours of January 29, 2022. According to her, O'Keefe was killed in defendants Brian and Nicole Albert's home in an altercation. Again, I wonder, does she have inside information, or did she get this from like the TikTok detectives? And I don't mean that as any shade. TikTok did their thing on this trial. So anyway, she thinks that he was killed in the Brian and Nicole Albert's home in an altercation during a late night gathering after a night of heavy drinking. The people inside the home, collectively described as the house defendants, allegedly concocted a plan immediately after the altercation to avoid culpability and to frame Karen. Part of that plan, this is what she put in her lawsuit, involved conducting a Google search for how long to die in the cold, moving his body outside, and placing him in the front lawn near the road to make it look like he was hit by a vehicle and that he died in the snow without ever coming into the house that night. The suit alleges investigators allowed the house defendants to direct the investigation away from themselves and toward Miss Read, noting that the Alberts are a prominent family in Canton and that Proctor, the lead investigator, was close personal friends with the family. Brian Albert is a longtime Boston police officer, while Higgins was an ATF agent. According to the complaint, she goes on, she said investigators ignored the obvious and compelling evidence that pointed away from Karen. O'Keefe's injuries, including bruises and lacerations on his face and a deep gash to the back of his head and dog bite wounds and scratches on his arm, were described as consistent with a physical attack, while his body showed no signs of a vehicular strike. The filing also states that state police never examined the Albert's German Shepherd, a dog that had a history of attacking other dogs and people, despite his documented bites. She getting some money, and she deserves it. She got a raw deal, and they did jump over all this, and the whole town was like, Karen did it. The complaint further alleges that Proctor and MSP colleagues never searched the house for nearly a week, did not seize or search phones, conducted only cursory interviews, and allowed would-be witnesses to communicate and coordinate their accounts. It claims Proctor secretly communicated with the Alberts through his sister, allegedly passing along confidential information outside investigative channels. Proctor further wrote that Karen had zero chance of skating. She's effed 16 hours O'Keefe body after her boyfriend's body was found and before he had entered the Alberts' home. Whew. Wow. Moreover, she also cites several alleged private messages to accuse Proctor of demeaning and sexualizing her early in the conversation. In one alleged message, Proctor said he searched Reed's phone looking for naked pictures and was disappointed, saying there were no nudes so far, later adding, hopefully, she kills herself. Attorneys for the defendants did not immediately respond to people's requests. However, a lot of people think that Karen needs to understand that discovery goes both ways. But those people actually believe what those people in the house were saying and thinks that she is guilty, you know? They think that, why do I keep calling her Carol? Anyway, they think that Karen is guilty and they're like, oh, you need to understand discovery goes both ways. But I think she does understand that. I think she's innocent. And besides a few, I'm sure, text messages where she's cursing out saying, I hate these MFers, they ruined my life, I think she has a really good chance of winning this. The evidence is there. Something happened in this house. The police conducted a narrative to point to only her, when at the end of the day, there was so much other stuff going on. It's actually laughable. It's very, 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 very much laughable. But what are you guys thinking? Do you think she's going to be successful? I think by her filing this lawsuit, I think she's itching to go with discovery. And let me just say, TikTok did its thing on this case. There were so many TikTok detectives. There was so much evidence. They cracked this case wide open. And I do believe TikTok is one of the reasons why Karen was able to walk free. You know what I'm saying? Regardless, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I think she has an amazing case, and kudos for her for standing up for herself. Justice was not served. They ripped apart her life for a good 3 years. I'm glad that she's not just letting them go. I think because she got caught not guilty, they just thought that she could, they were going to skate away. I'm glad she's like, not so fast. Get back here. Shout out to Karen Reed for doing what needed to be done. When I get the court documents, I'll actually read them. I'm going to try to cover the civil case. I know a lot of people are on it, but your girl's going to be there because I want to actually hear what actually happens. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.